This is a Podco original.
Every time that you react to magic, I was fucking laughing my ass off. It's so funny.
Thank you. I remember I had this, I don't know what I was thinking, but I had this thing about like suffering for your art.
The script supervisor said, on this line, you put that cup down, you did this, you took a bite here, and I was like, oh, f-. Like, look at the gurney being pushed by no one.
I like that too.
I was going to say the magical room. It was like, whatever.
Yeah.
It was never discussed what was in there.
Unless it was like a hallway that like had all the other rooms. But what was upstairs?
Yeah, well, hey, everybody, we're so happy you're enjoying the podcast. We're enjoying doing it. And this is a very fun episode where there's cars and they come alive and mayhem ensues. And if you want to continue watching this, then
follow Wizards of Waverly Pod on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Oh, I'm going to follow us right now.
Oh, that's so nice.
Oh my God, I wasn't following
Wow,
yet.
we're such hams. I can't.
Welcome to Wizards of Waverly Pod.
I love that you David Caruso'd that.
You know what? Oh, David, you ready? Okay, you ready? I was working with David Caruso I did all 3 CSIs.
You told this story.
No.
Because remember we had that episode where I was like, wow, I was trying to do the thing and I couldn't. and then
Yes, I do. Oh my God.
I like that one so much better. That was like
the beginning.
That was like the one you did
But
that was
Caruso,
like more bass.
Okay, so I'm just, for the people who didn't see that episode, in this episode, he came in hours late. We had already shot everything. I'm dead on the floor. And he's got, he goes, what do we got? Again. What do we got? No, he just, and then he called cut and left and came back, and he loved me, but he thought I was my brother Michael. He actually said, I really like your work.
So you did a little like,
you
paired him.
Sorry, everybody who's listening.
Yours is like a boat horn. I love it. I also love too, like, I love that in post, you're like, oh, we already told that story. Did we already tell that story? And you're like, fuck it, I'm going to tell it again.
Well, listen, David Caruso, man.
He's one in a million. He's a character for sure. There was some horror movie I saw with him recently, and I couldn't unsee the like CSI Miami like thing.
Was that Jade? What was that?
No, it was called, it was the one where him and... Oh, my brain's gonna betray me.
While you're thinking about it, he was in Rambo: First Blood.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was one of the cops. Rambo comes up.
I could see that.
And it's Stallone is like all in green, and you don't see him.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
When he opens his eyes, you see his eyes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and
yeah.
then he puts the knife to his neck.
Okay. I'm gonna look
we'll
this
look
up.
up the
I'm looking up the
Caruso
other thing. But it is, hold on. I love that everyone's like, this is for, that's like the first thing that comes up is like First Blood. Session 9.
Session 9.
It's actually, it's interesting. Josh Lucas is in, like a young Josh Lucas is in it. It's a 2001 it came out. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but they've got some interesting things. It's about like people that are getting like asbestos out of an insane asylum and then slowly go crazy.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, so this week, back to Wizards, and this is not a David Caruso podcast. Everyone's like, who the hell is that for the younger generation? This week we are rewatching Taxi Dance, which originally aired December 7th, 2008, written by Peter Murrieta and directed by Mark Sandrowski, who directed like all of the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, and he was good. He did one or a couple of ours, right?
Yeah, he did a few.
Yeah, he was very professional, and I liked him. I learned a lot from him.
My brother and my dad too. I mean, they still watch Big Bang Theory like crazy, to the point where my mom and I like can't see it anymore. But Mark was nice enough to, when my brother was in town, to get us tickets to the taping.
Oh, really?
So my brother got to see that and was like super excited. He never got excited about what I was doing, but he was super excited about that show. But anyway, okay. So the episode starts out, we find ourselves in the loft with the family getting ready for a family dinner out. Teresa calls the Sunshine Cab Company that is special to the Russos because Alex was born in one of their cabs 804.
Which I had totally forgotten that she was born in a cab.
Yeah.
And what's really funny to me is we're going out to dinner. It's a special dinner night. And I'm like, are you sure you guys don't want to eat in the substation? Because and then Max is like, don't insult the owner. He's right there. I was laughing.
Yeah, it was a good bit.
I thought that was really funny.
Well, of course he doesn't want to go to dinner. I mean, the reason Alex was born in the cab was because he was trying to get Teresa to walk to save money, to walk to the hospital.
I said the great line of saying, well, I offered to push you in a shopping cart, which I thought was really funny.
Which is just crazy. And also, so fun fact, Cab 804 is a reference to two things. An episode of Frasier called Flower Child, in which a child is born in Cab 804. Also, the cab in the 78 sitcom Taxi.
Was 804?
It was 804.
Oh my God,
Isn't that cool?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either until I was doing research for this episode.
Because I wrote here, why 804?
That's why.
Jen Stone has answered the question.
It was a fun, like, writer's Easter egg. So Jerry remembers the lottery number of the lotto ticket he bought when Justin was born, but doesn't remember what room he was born in, when he was born.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
No one remembers the number of the room.
It was silly.
You know, it should have. I know they wanted it to be a number and the lotto thing or whatever, but I would have said maybe we do something a little more.
What about time?
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because my first daughter was born at 9:29, and my production company, which doesn't exist, was 9:29 Productions. Isn't that
That's
cool?
really neat. I was born on 5:29.
Is
it about 29?
The time. That's what they should have done.
Yeah, time would have made more sense.
Rather than the room. But then then later in the episode, he goes to the mall, and there's a whole weird.
There's a whole thing. We'll get there.
The mall, the hospital was turned into a mall or something.
Yeah. Okay, so Justin doesn't remember the room he was born in, which who does? Teresa, calling the cab company, finds out 804 is retired and is headed to the junkyard. Alex shouts, "I outlived a cab," which I thought was very funny.
And by the way, the cab later you see is disgusting.
Yep.
You know, so
they're retiring it for good reason.
The last time we went out in the cab, supposedly, we went in a disgusting cab, which is
odd. Have you been in some of the cabs in New York? Sometimes they're a little crusty.
I haven't. Yeah, it's a little dirty.
Yeah.
But
sometimes there's a strong tobacco smell.
I love it. Listen, I'm sorry, everybody. I just love to poke holes in everything. I'm like, what cab company is going to be like, yeah, we retired that or this or it just isn't. But
remember, because the Sunshine Cab Company thought she was special. Because remember, and we'll get there too. Because Uncle Al was like, she was the cab baby.
Okay,
she's the 804
apologize
baby
for everything.
I don't think a cab company would really do that. I think they wouldn't give a shit and they'd be mad. They'd send you a bill to clean the cab.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, in our universe,
if anybody was born in a cab, let us know.
All of what, like 10 people?
I don't know.
In the world? I don't know. Okay. All right. So Jerry's having a really hard time with the fact that the cab Alex was born in is headed for the junkyard. Harper reveals that she's never thrown out any piece of her past and subtly incorporates it into her outfit, showing her baby jumper and booties, which actually ended up at the beginning of like the 3rd or 4th season intro. That she's sewn into the front of their dress. And then she goes, guess where I incorporated it? Right. Which is ridiculous because it's literally sewn on the front.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Thank you. Thank you. And then I shake the little booties.
Yeah. And the 4th season intro changed. They did little snippets. And it's so interesting. I wish I was a part of that and to say, like, pick this or pick that. Or,
they don't ask the actors that. No, I know, but it just is. We'll pick what we want. That's how they said, fuck you guys. Yeah. We'll pick what we want.
Yeah.
So Alex goes to the garage after seeing how hard Teresa and Jerry are taking
That's what I wanted to say. I'm sorry. Sorry about everybody. Sorry to interrupt you.
You're sorry for participating in a podcast?
This is the first episode where Harper is aware and that magic is happening.
I'm in on the joke.
Yes, you're in on the joke and the secret. And I just, every time that you react to magic, I was fucking laughing my ass off. It's so funny.
Thank you.
Okay.
It was fun for me too. So Alex goes to the garage to get a souvenir from Cab 804 and introduces Harper to Uncle Al, who's not really her uncle. He's played by John, sorry if I mispronounced the last name, Capodici.
Who had been in so many different things.
Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, Speed, and so many TV appearances. So Uncle Al hands her an air freshener. He puts it around her neck.
Which is just disgusting.
It's so gross.
I hate the air freshener. You can even see, I think, Selena's face. She's like, oh.
Because it's like pine.
And those just are
like fake
gross.
Pine. Yeah. Not real Pine Mountain, fake Pine Mountain.
Fake Pine Mountain, where I have the Bigfoot Cafe, everybody.
Not sure if you knew. So Uncle Al hands her the air freshener, puts it around her neck. Alex asks for a moment alone with Harper to say goodbye to Cab 804, but really, what she's doing is magic to bring the cab back to life with the spell, I can't bear to part with this cab that won't drive. Do whatever it needs doing to bring it alive. Which, how many cabs is she bringing back that were rhyming that specifically?
I don't know. This
is a
like,
make 'em up?
Like, yeah, make 'em up. Rhyme it, and it's a spell.
And it's a
right?
spell. Yeah, because I mean, what is the like? How many times have wizards needed to bring a cab back to life that this spell exists?
Yeah, it's
but basically
silly.
what it is like it brings inanimate objects back to life. And like you were mentioning, this is the first time Alex does magic in front of Harper.
Right.
So then Uncle Al and the come back in.
Well, wait a minute.
Okay,
The bit
go on.
where, we've done magic. So she takes the cart with the tools and puts it near. And then you're like, wait, this is going to make them believe that we did it. And then when he comes back in, he goes, oh, yeah, the tools are right here. So that was,
No, Harper says, look
it's your
at the
idea.
tools. Look
Yeah.
at the tools.
And then he says, I
Yeah.
thought that was a great bit.
No,
I
it was
enjoyed that.
a funny
I thought that
gag
was funny.
for sure. So they come back in. She tells Uncle Al that she, fixed it when she magically starts running again. And then Harper points at the tools and that's whatever. So then we're back in the loft. Justin is determined to figure out what room he was born in because that's a thing. And Max shows off a random gurney that he found, going with Justin to figure out what room he was born in.
It's very silly.
It's very silly, but it's so Max.
Yeah.
And I love it of just like his
It's like a
brain.
pet gurney.
Yeah, it's like a pet gurney. Justin discovers Mid-City Hospital, where he was born, has been turned into a shopping mall with Justin's favorite store, the Science Fun Activity Store.
That is not a fun thing to say. It's almost like they're
the
like,
science
fun activity store. Let's get him with that.
Yeah.
The writers are like, we're going to make him say that.
Yeah, which he did it. He nailed it.
He did. But if you look at it, and sometimes I do this as well, David was like, I was at the Science Fun Activity Store. Like he was like, I'm going to say this right.
There was something I remember so distinctly. There was a blooper that like he just couldn't get it. It was when they were in all the cow spacesuits.
Yeah.
And
We're
he
going to make
just-
it detonate, explode.
Yeah, he like couldn't say detonate. There was like some, I don't know if we were shooting late or like what it was.
You
but
know
he
where that
just
is
couldn't.
if you want to watch
It's on the
it.
blooper reel
On Patreon.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. You're better at pitching the things. Okay. And then Alex quickly trumps the fact of the science activity store with the fact that Cab 804 has been fixed. Hooray.
Yes.
Jerry and Teresa are very happy.
I think problems are going to happen, everybody.
I don't know. Okay. In Waverly Place, we discover that not only is the cab fixed, but it can speak loudly for everyone on Waverly Place to hear. And this is the voice of Adam Carolla as Bert the cab 804.
And Adam Carolla had a show with Dr. Drew called Loveline.
Yeah, well, it's like they rebooted Loveline, right?
Oh, they did.
Yeah, because Loveline was like
It was a radio thing where you
yes.
called in and you're like, I'm this and I have there's a pimple on my balls and I don't know what to do with it. And
I missed
Dr.
that
Drew,
call.
Well, I mean, there were a lot of. It actually wasn't a bad thing, but
No,
there
it was
were
a cool show.
there were a lot of people that could call in and get medical advice, but it could be embarrassing to kids and whatever.
Yeah.
So it was a good way of getting good information out
Safe
there.
space publicly on the radio.
Yeah, and Dr. Drew would answer the questions, and then Adam Carolla would make fun of them.
Great. And he was also on The Man Show with
Yes.
Jimmy Kimmel. And then he had his own show, The Adam Carolla Show.
Right.
So, yeah. I feel like most people know him probably from The Man Show.
He was very nice. Not my cup of tea. Just not my,
Not everybody's made for everybody.
And I wonder if he was the original voice for the cat. If they got, like that, because when you're doing,
We'll have to ask Peter if he was the original.
but he wasn't on set.
No,
he wasn't
he
there.
just did the voiceover.
Yeah, it was later. Probably, our Susie, our script person, would probably have done the lines or something. I don't remember.
Maybe.
Somebody was doing it.
Yeah. Anywho, upon hearing the cab speak, Harper can't decide between screaming or running away, so she opts to pass out, shouting, "Catch me, Justin!" Which, of course, he does not.
Fuck! I watched it like 8 times, Jen.
Oh, David.
The way that you didn't just fall back. You did your arm. You did this.
Because Harper loves a romantic gesture.
And you hit a pad, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
But God, it was so funny. I was laughing.
I don't know if you've ever experienced this because you're like, I always looked at you as being this like physical comedy like genius, right? Because I know I like came. You're
genius,
like,
but I try to do physical.
no, you're
comedy.
hilarious when it comes to physical comedy. But I remember I had this. I don't know what I was thinking, but I had this thing about like suffering for your art. So I always was like, I don't want the pad. I don't want the knee pads because to me, I'm like, if I don't know. It was so silly because now I'm like, you only get one pair of knees, or if you hurt yourself, like it's just stupid.
Well,
but
you
for
know
me,
now.
like I got some like weird perfectionist like high off of like getting hurt doing things, which they obviously didn't let me do because I was a child. But I remember being like, I don't need the knee pads. I'm okay. I don't need the pad. I'll figure it out. Like I don't know what that was. That I was like trying to, do it without the safety stuff.
I don't know. Maybe you wanted it to be as real as possible.
Probably because
So
I was like a thespian,
But this reminds me of when I was in the New York street behind the substation. There was a trash can.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, they were like, no, we're going to have the stunt guy. I was like, I can knock over the trash can.
But it was
I can
after
go
your shoulder too, right?
Was it after?
I think so. Because you were talking about how like your shoulder, because I think you've told me this, where it's like your shoulder was healing and then you went into the trash can and you were like,
Well, the trash can was not aluminum. It was like
steel.
And I was like, So, but I fought to do it and I didn't check the trash can because I assumed it was, never assume anything.
They make an ass out of you and me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I hurt myself again. But I listen, I want to do as much of the stunts as I wanted. Listen, the stuntmen are doing stuff. But in Disney, you're like, I'm going to jump on this. And they're like, no, we need someone to. And I'm like.
It's more about, I feel like, well, I mean, on every set, it's about liability, right? But I feel like on Disney, especially because you're dealing with kids, because it's minors and things like that, I feel like they're hyper vigilant about that.
I did a movie or a couple of movies called Pup Star. Mm-hmm. And we did 4 of them. And there was one time where I was talking dogs and I was up on the roof and I fell and I had to be dangling. The guy who was dangling did not look like me at all. Yeah, not that I wanted to do it, but it's important to match as much as you can.
Yeah, there's sometimes where like, I know they've had really bad bloopers with like stunts where like you'll see the face and you're like, that's a different fucking person. Like that's not even remotely the same.
Yeah, well nowadays they can just digitally put the actor's face on the person.
Yeah, I know. There was a few gags where like they either had me up on a harness or Selena and they were like, we were flying around or whatever, and they had such bad wigs and like different body types, and I mean, it was quick, get them done kind of things, and sometimes it looked like it. But
all I could think of now is the chandelier from the
that damn chandelier.
The fleur.
Yeah, God, that chandelier was rough. Okay, so which she faints, wants Justin to catch her, doesn't. The cab offers Alex and Harper a free ride to school the next day. So we're at Tribeca Prep.
With the cab right in the center.
With the cab.
It's just so bizarre. That cab just was in every scene. As like
which also how hard for like the like set people to be like, well, let's get the cab in there.
They probably had like little wheels for the wheels so they could like a skateboard thing.
Yeah, and then they had to open up like the wings of the set and bring it in. So we're at Tribeca Prep. Harper and Alex arrive at school 2 periods late because the cab brought them. The cab flashes into school offering to take Alex to get tacos. Well, Alex is coming up with a plan to explain why there's a cab in the middle of the school with all of the other students around. Harper panics and screams, giving us our first "I'll see you in PE" right down the barrel, breaking the fourth wall.
Going right into the camera.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yes.
How that came
to
be?
Yeah, I remember Mark. Because we broke the fourth wall a few times, but not a ton. And that was the first time I believe that I said, "I'll see you in PE," which obviously came back to be a lot of times.
I can't believe this was the first one.
I think so. I mean, the fans will correct us if it's not, but I'm pretty sure it's the first "I'll see you in PE."
Yeah.
And I remember him just being like, he's like, just book it to the, like, so here's the camera. And he was like, book it just to the left. And I was like, can I look at the camera? And he's like, maybe let's not look at the camera and then just beeline it right out like you're, leaving. So, and I just remember, I was a big believer that, do or die, you got to commit 110% with comedy. So that's what I did. And I
while watching it, I watched it a few times because it made me laugh so much.
You.
But you didn't look into the camera?
I might have.
It seemed like you were looking into the camera as you were running because I was
might have.
oh my God, it's so funny.
I might have.
And in my mind, it's like we're breaking the fourth wall, but technically we're not because
I'm
you're
going
not,
down the hallway.
Yeah, you're just running toward the camera. It's not you looking and interacting with it.
Yeah, I remember being excited about it because I know we didn't do that very much.
It was we called the where the cameras are the aisle, the aisle where we're in between the audience where they would sit and the sets.
Yeah.
That's where the cameras are. And it's very rare that you would exit toward the cameras.
Yeah.
You know?
It never happened. Like didn't what not never, but it didn't happen often. So
Yeah.
I remember it was a real opportunity to like use that different angle comedically.
Right.
You know, so hopefully I succeeded.
Almost did a spit take.
I love it.
You did. You
Well,
did
thank you.
succeed.
Okay, so she does the LCU and PE. Alex covers poorly that the cab is an art project. The cab shouts, "Art project! I'm a talking magic cab," and Alex kicks it. Alex then has no choice, as always, but to ask Justin's help. He comes in with a better cover story of the cab as part of this car donation drive to create an artificial reef habitat in the Hudson River for homeless otters, which the idea of otters being in the Hudson River, as disgusting as the Hudson River is there any life other than like bacteria in the Hudson River?
I don't know, but it's interesting. And I don't know if it's in the Hudson River, but they were talking about doing like marshland, like re-putting green stuff so that it gets revitalized.
Oh, like the habitat in the Hudson River?
Well, maybe not the Hudson River,
I was
but
about to say.
I saw something recently where they were like, we're trying to make it, inhabitable again.
Yeah, because
Like an
I thought it
area
was
like
just
that.
like New York sludge and
We don't have to listen to David DeLuise. Continue, Jen Stone.
no, I want to listen to
No,
David
I'm not
Bowie.
saying I'm not critiquing you. It's just I'm like I don't remember where that
We'll look
where
it
that
up.
was.
We'll find it. So Alex tries to sneak the cab back into the Sunshine Cab Company's garage because it's just causing havoc in her life and making
Right.
it very hard to hide magic when there's a magic talking cab. But the cab is anything but subtle until Justin takes out Bert's key, shutting the cab down, which I love that Justin's like, oh, again, Wizard's quick fix of like, just shut it down.
It's very science fiction too. You're like,
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
this problem. We have this problem.
Yeah.
Oh, if you just do this, okay, everything's fine.
Yep.
You know.
Well, it's 22 minutes. We gotta keep it popping, you know? So then Alex and Justin think the problem's solved. We're back in the loft. We see one of the rare occasions of the Russos plus Harper at that kitchen table.
Yeah.
Do you like eating scenes? I hate eating scenes.
I do not like eating scenes.
They're gross.
It also, that table was so back in the set.
Yeah.
It was really hard
That's
to
why
get
we
the
never
cameras
used it.
on that.
Yeah.
I did a movie with Olympia Dukakis and Marion Ross. I just dropped the names. It was like a very
We need the
special,
wand back. Where's the wand?
like after school, whatever. It was very, I was a boxer.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was a homeless guy that they thought was a
turned into
boxer.
a boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting there doing a scene where I'm getting fed for the first time. And I'm eating this and I'm eating that and I'm doing this.
Did you have a spit bucket?
No. But it wasn't so much about the eating. It was about when I was touching things. So that was in the master, the shot where everybody's in it. And then
Oh, so
I
you
was doing
screwed
my
yourself.
close up and the script supervisor said, on this line, you put that cup down, you did this, you took a bite here. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, you screwed
So
yourself.
and I not now it's not about acting. It's just about remembering when I drank or eat or whatever. And I think Marion Ross was like, who was the mom on Happy Days, was like, yeah, you don't touch, you don't do the,
Yeah.
you just move it around a little bit and then take one bite wherever it is. Now, anybody who's listening or watching, watch movies when people are at a dinner scene. It's
push it
very
around.
rare
Yeah.
that they'll take a bite. You know,
Well, it's also you're trying to say lines
Yeah.
with food in your mouth.
well, there's that good outtake that I did where I'm taking a bite of a cookie and I'm like, when Maria and I turned into teenagers
Yeah.
or whatever, and I couldn't get through the line because I took such a bite.
Yeah. Well, it's also too like usually if it's like a dinner stuff, right, is usually hot, but it's been sitting out. It's like cold chicken, cold mashed, everything's like so it's not appetizing.
Yeah.
It's just So eating in scenes is not my favorite.
I'm going to tell a quick Marion Ross story. We were in Vancouver when we were shooting it, and this was back in the day.
Yeah.
And she had one of those disposable cameras, and there were some fans there, and they were like, she said, where can I develop this? And they were like, oh, we'll take it to the 1 hour photo and we'll do
you
it.
told me this.
And she gave it to them, and they developed it and brought it back to her. And I was like, aren't you concerned or what? And she just was like, they love me and they want to do nice things. Yeah. So it's good. They're like, and I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Although I wouldn't fucking trust anybody with my camera.
Well, not these days.
It was just so interesting to me. And she was wonderful.
Well, that's the interesting thing about
she was so fun to work with.
Being a part of like TV is I feel like because you enter people's homes, like you have a closeness with people you've never met,
100%. I felt close to her. She's Mrs. C. Happy Days was a big influence on
it's like a comfort character kind of thing.
And Marshall, Gary Marshall,
Gary Marsh?
No, it wasn't Marsh.
Oh no, that's Disney.
Laverne and Shirley.
No, I know who you're talking. It's Marshall. It is Marshall.
He directed.
Hold on, we're gonna look it up.
The prostitute movie with
yeah, I know. Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman.
Yeah, I think it is Gary Marshall.
Gary Marshall. Yeah, Marshall.
Yes.
So he was a producer, and he asked my dad to do
Gary
Mork.
Marshall, yeah. Oh, really?
Mork, because he was
from Mork and Mindy, which Robin Williams ended up doing,
which started on Happy Days. Mork comes in. It's a spin-off from Happy Days. And look, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but
no, I think that's right.
What my dad said. He said, he didn't want to do that part. And of course, Rob Williams was perfect for it, and he did it. And it's really weird. I'm seeing it in my mind. I'm sure you guys can Google this or go on YouTube, but Robin Williams on Happy Days. An alien comes on Happy Days. Very bizarre.
But they also jumped a shark on Happy Days.
Yeah,
so it's like they started doing some crazy stuff.
So for the people who don't know that, like they did Happy Days and they were running out of stories. So they had Fonzie water skiing, jumping a shark.
Yeah.
So when a series is kind of out of ideas or whatever, they say you've jumped the shark.
Yeah.
Based on
because you jump, Fonzie jumping the shark. Okay. So we are back in the loft. Like I said, one of the rare occasions eating dinner with the Russos. Max says he misses his magical gurney, and the gurney magically comes back through the front door, further proving Justin's point that when you bring an inanimate object back to life, it develops an attachment to you.
Right. I did like my reaction when it comes back through the door. I'm like, look at the gurney being pushed by no one.
I like that too. Although I also am very curious if because Alex's spell to animate the taxi was very specific. What the hell rhymes with gurney? Journey?
Yeah. Make this gurney have a journey and come to lifey, Murney. No.
Wow.
But the journey didn't talk.
The gurney? Yeah, no.
So that,
that's true.
The cab's talking.
Yeah. The gurney wasn't like, wee, as I came to the front door. Dude, that would be terrifying. So scary. Okay. So proving the point that inanimate objects, they develop an attachment to the person that brought them back to life.
Right.
Max finishes his dinner with the magical gurney in his room. Then we see, because he just wants to spend some time with it. And then we see Cab 804 honking outside the terrace, flying.
Right.
Shouting, you can take my keys, but you'll never drain my battery. And Harper promptly bails with another
Was the
C&D.
cab floating, or was it on the roof?
No, because remember we weren't in the penthouse. It was on the terrace, so it was like floating.
Okay,
it was like flying.
And then she has a rope to hold it and ties it.
No, you're going all the way back to Waverly. No, that's later.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
Listen, I'm 52, so sometimes I don't remember everything properly.
Great.
Oh, thank you.
I was like, don't leave me hanging. Okay, so she sees it floating outside, and then we get out to Waverly Place after Harper bails with a CUP, and I guess was like, I'll meet you downstairs, and then just heads downstairs to Waverly Place. So they run out, Alex and Harper in Waverly Place to cover for why there's a flying cab above the city streets, and then Alex uses ropes from Greenwald's Help Me Now, go up there and tie a bow, doesn't say it right. Which Greenwald's is obviously Todd Greenwald, the creator of the show.
Right.
Tying up the cab. And I do have to say, the writing of Harper wanting to be like Alex sometimes, and so she pretended to hold her. She handed her the fake rope, and then Harper kept holding it, and then also tied it around the fire hydrant.
It was a stretch.
It was a stretch, but it was also
even
just
missed that
very
because
silly.
that's what I was going to ask you. I was like, what were you holding on to? She handed you.
Well, because the people walk by.
And
she's like,
pretending.
I'm holding on to this this invisible rope, and then she hands it to Harper, and then does the spell for the real rope.
Right.
So then she ties the real rope to the fire hydrant, who was there all of a sudden, and
I
then
know
never
there's a
was
fire
again.
hydrant, but never again. Right?
Yeah, it's like there's not cars.
Where it's gone. The
Dragging
fire
the
hydrant,
dog.
dragging the dog.
Dragging the dog. And then Harper freaks out and is like, oh, and ties the invisible rope and runs off.
I just thought of this total non sequitur.
Yes.
Do you realize that from the substation, you could just walk into the house.
We've talked about this, about how
so
just
weird.
crazy it is that like the stairs from the loft go upstairs, I guess,
to our living room.
to your living room. No, from the substation, it goes up into the living room. And then I don't know if there's like an upper floor or something.
Well, then from the living room, it goes up to the bedrooms.
No, I'm talking about because the stairs went up further from the bedrooms, didn't it? I think it did. In the lofts, because the loft, we have the substation.
Right.
It goes up into the living room. And then the stairs keep going because we came down those stairs.
Right, to the bedrooms. That's where the bedrooms were.
But then there was that one weird room off to the side that was sometime Teresa and Jerry's.
was
and
that?
It swung. Like it was different things because Max also takes the gurney into that room like it's his room.
Yeah, that was just I was going to say the magical room.
The magical,
it was like whatever.
Yeah.
It was never discussed what was in there.
Unless it was like a hallway that like had all the other rooms. But what was upstairs?
Yeah, what the
fuck was upstairs? That's what I'm saying. It drives me crazy. If the fans know, please. Because I don't remember. I feel like we changed things. Because also, too, Harper came down the stairs. Alex and Justin came down the stairs like they were coming from their room.
Talking about in the loft. Yeah, I think all of the rooms were upstairs.
Then what was the fucking room on the side?
It was
whatever
not,
we needed
it didn't
to
make
be.
any sense.
Yeah.
Okay, here. Fans.
What do you think the room is?
What the room to the right side of the living room?
By the kitchen.
What did you think that was? Because every once in a while we would exit that way or we would go in there. I don't remember a lot of coming out of there, like entering
There was
from there.
some, but it was mostly exiting.
Yeah. What do you guys think that was? Question mark.
Would love to hear the theories. Because like I said, we changed. I think it swung. I think there was a lot of different things that we just justified.
Because I mean, it was a
was
room that you could
unestablished.
exit.
Yeah.
It was a room that you could leave.
Yeah. Without
and
having
it
to
was-
do the like going down the stairs.
Right.
You know?
Oh my God, the stairs.
All right. So back in the loft, Alex thinks her problem's solved because she's roped up the cab until the cab comes crashing through the terrace doors, breaking the loft lamp that breaks in several episodes. Because remember, Teresa always gets upset about the lamp.
Right.
But this time it's not the green like table lamp that we always broke. It was the overhead chandelier. Which is this the first time that we did the lamp gag?
I think so. I
think
don't
so.
remember it prior to this.
Because it comes back in the next episode.
I remember that
with the
cab,
table
the
lamp.
whole rig, and it coming in.
and
That
it
was a
coming
big.
through.
That was a big deal.
Yeah. And then Alex reveals to her parents that she brought the cab to life after she saw how sad they were.
Oh, you there? It's Alex.
That it was being retired and gets an Alex mint, as Justin refers to it, instead of a punishment. Justin explains that this is when a punishment somehow ends up as a reward, which only happens to Alex. I love Harper's line where she's like, but that happens to you, right? And he's like, no,
Right.
it doesn't. Alex knows Teresa, Jerry, and Justin will always have her back as Bert the cab requests help backing out of the window, and we're out.
It was a lot. It was a big.
It was
It was a big.
it was a lot.
It was a lot to have a cab be like the guest star.
It was a lot of yes, but it was a lot of work for like our set, decoration, our props department. Like it wasn't so much heavy lifting for us.
Also, you're not allowed, because of like safety reasons. Like they couldn't drive the car around. They had to like push it.
Yeah. It had to be on like wheels. Well, it was the
Right.
same in like the comic book episode with Dean. Like that had to be on wheels. It couldn't be like driven.
Right.
Because can you imagine driving a motorcycle like a few feet and like it's an accident
I
waiting to
did a
happen.
pilot one time
Where they did that.
where I was like, yeah, I can drive a motorcycle. I was at CBS Radford where I shot Third Rock from the Sun. And I was on the bike and I was like, I could do this. And I kept popping the clutch and everything. You know.
I know. It's a balancing act.
And they were like, David, we're just going to push you in.
Yeah.
So they
Well, but it's a
pushed-
safer option.
Yeah.
It's a safer option to
I
just
felt
put you
so
in.
less than that I couldn't
I had
drive a bike of
I had
10 feet.
I had to drive and I'd never driven stick shift. And it also scared me because it was a super expensive car. I was 17 and I had to drive a Porsche. And I think it was a Porsche Cayenne. And I remember being so terrified that the director, the second take, was like, you can drive a little faster. Because I was driving like 5 miles an hour, just being like,
Had you driven a stick before?
no, I'd never driven a stick.
And they didn't ask you prior?
They gave me
or
like a
was
quick little just.
so they weren't like, it was
No.
only a bit of this.
Yeah, it was literally like I just had to drive up into the scene.
Because I totally lied and I was like, yeah.
No, I didn't. I just got my driver. I was 17. I had gotten my driver's license not that much before that.
Right.
And then I was being trusted with this like really I had a Prius. Like I didn't have a car with
A purse?
A purse, yes. A Prius purse. But yeah, I didn't have a car with that powerful of an engine. So literally like touching the throttle, it just took off. So I was terrified. So I like barely tapped it and the car's like,
what was that? Do you remember the name of that?
Mean Girls 2.
Mean Girls.
Yeah. Just grade A, Emmy-winning content. Okay,
the question.
The question of the episode. Other than your phone, because I know we're all glued to our phones, which I have a love-hate relationship with, what object do you use so often that it probably already has an attachment to you without using the inanimate object spell?
My...
Oh my God, no.
Bigfoot Cafe cup. No, okay.
Yeah, what object do you use the most?
My belt. I use one belt.
Oh.
And it's with me at all times. I'm wearing it now.
Is it like your safety belt? Like a comfort belt? Like, you know, like a little safety blanket?
I don't know. I mean, I wear a belt always. It
Keeps
feels,
your pants up.
Yeah. Listen, I wear the same fucking clothes, all the time.
That's fine.
I have a lot of clothes, but they're in rotation.
Yeah.
I'm very attached to certain things. And I will say this. I still have my baby blanket that I slept with. I had a woman who helped raise me, who lived with us and took care of me. Maria Negus was her name. And she took the blanket because it was like old, and she kind of sewed it to another blanket. So I still have my blanket. Okay, so my answer is my baby blanket and my belt. What about you?
I used to have, speaking of baby blankets, I don't know what, I was such a weird kid. I remember we had this long hallway with all these windows, and I would get scared when I was a kid because my mom still has my baby blanket, but it is shredded. It is in pieces because what I used to do, and you still see little knots on it from when I did this, but what I used to do is I would get scared in the middle of the night. I would walk down this long hallway with all these windows, which really freaked me out, to my parents' bedroom, and I would tie the blanket around my big toe. Why? I have no idea. And then drag it behind me for whatever reason, which logically, if there was any scary monsters or whatever, they have a thing to pull me with. But so it's like shredded, and you see these little knots where I tied it on my little baby toe.
And you still haven't?
My mom has it. My mom still has it. But as far as like again, I'm so guilty of asking questions I don't have answers to.
I want the fans to answer this, though.
Yeah, no. In the comments, what is your, other than your phone, because I know that's an easy answer, what is your object that you interact with so much that it probably already has an attachment to you? For me, oh man.
You want to tell us on the next podcast?
No. It's probably I know like a lot, I've heard a lot of Europeans joke about like Americans and their like safety water bottle. I drink a lot of water, and I've had it in some of the episodes with like all the stickers on it and stuff. Probably my water bottle that I've got
it's
a ton
so
of
clever.
stickers
That's
with.
why Yulia got one too, because it helps you remember to drink a lot of water and hydrate throughout the day.
In the States, we don't have the same like minerals and stuff that they have in Europe, and so like it doesn't hydrate us as well.
Yeah.
We have to kind of put those minerals back. So that's why we drink so much water. But I've heard like Europeans make fun of us because you can spot an American in Europe because they have a little water bottle with them everywhere.
And they're very loud.
Yeah. That, and probably I think I've worn it on the show before, but the denim jacket that I have with patches all over it.
Yeah, I love that jacket.
I do too. But like if I'm going to sometimes I get like social anxiety if I'm not around people that I know really well, because I don't love small talk and my brain kind of glazes over and I just kind of get like my battery tapped. That feels like my safety blanket as an adult. So I can kind of hide behind it. I know I can't. I know people can still see me.
I get it.
But it feels comfortable.
And it looks good. So what is your item that you have that if it came to life would be attached to you?
Yeah, you use it so much.
Let us know. And thank you for being here on another episode of Wizards of Waverly Pod.